Top 25 industry compliance interview questions and answers. Industry compliance plays a crucial role in maintaining ethical operations, meeting regulatory standards, and ensuring business integrity. Employers seek candidates who understand compliance frameworks, risk management, and regulatory requirements relevant to their field. In this guide, we'll cover the top 25 industry compliance interview questions with detailed 100-word answers to help you demonstrate your expertise, analytical thinking, and ethical decision-making skills, preparing you to excel in your next compliance interview. 1. What is industry compliance and why is it important? Industry compliance refers to adhering to laws, regulations, and internal policies that govern business operations. It ensures that organizations act ethically, avoid legal penalties, and maintain public trust. Compliance helps reduce risks related to fraud, corruption, and misconduct. By implementing strong compliance frameworks, companies demonstrate accountability and commitment to corporate responsibility. Ultimately, it promotes transparency, protects the company's reputation, and fosters a culture of integrity that benefits both employees and stakeholders. 2. How do you stay updated with regulatory changes? Staying updated requires continuous learning and monitoring of regulatory bodies, industry publications, and legal updates. I subscribe to compliance newsletters, follow regulatory websites, and attend professional webinars or training sessions. Networking with compliance professionals also helps share knowledge about new laws or standards. I often maintain a compliance tracker to document updates and assess their impact on company policies. Proactive monitoring ensures that our organization remains compliant and adapts swiftly to regulatory changes. 3. Describe your experience with compliance audits. I have participated in both internal and external compliance audits. My responsibilities included preparing documentation, verifying adherence to regulations, and addressing audit findings. I ensure that corrective action plans are implemented promptly to close any compliance gaps. During audits, I focus on clear communication and transparency with auditors. I also conduct pre-audit reviews to identify potential risks early. This proactive approach helps maintain compliance readiness and builds confidence with regulatory authorities and management teams. 4. What steps do you take to ensure compliance across departments? Ensuring compliance across departments involves collaboration, training, and consistent monitoring. I begin by defining clear compliance policies aligned with industry regulations. Regular training sessions help employees understand their roles in maintaining compliance. I implement internal audits, compliance dashboards, and risk assessments to track progress. Cross-departmental communication ensures that compliance issues are addressed quickly. By promoting a culture of accountability, I help each department integrate compliance into its daily operations effectively. 5. How do you handle a compliance violation? When a compliance violation occurs, I prioritize transparency and resolution. First, I document the incident and investigate its root cause. I collaborate with relevant teams to understand what went wrong and determine if it was intentional or accidental. Then, I develop corrective measures, including retraining employees or revising policies. I also report the issue to senior management, ensuring full disclosure. Finally, I monitor the situation to prevent recurrence and maintain organizational trust. 6. What is your approach to risk management in compliance? My approach focuses on identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks before they escalate. I begin with a detailed risk assessment to map out compliance vulnerabilities. Each risk is evaluated based on its impact and likelihood. Preventive measures, like internal audits, training, and clear communication, are then implemented. I continuously monitor regulatory updates to reassess risks. This proactive and systematic process helps maintain compliance integrity and ensures that potential issues are managed before they affect operations. 7. How do you ensure employee awareness of compliance policies? Employee awareness begins with clear, accessible policies and regular communication. I conduct onboarding sessions, refresher training, and workshops that highlight compliance standards relevant to each department. Engaging methods like quizzes, case studies, and e-learning platforms make training more effective. Additionally, I circulate policy updates and compliance bulletins through internal communication channels. Regular assessments and feedback help measure understanding, ensuring employees remain informed, responsible, and aligned with organizational compliance expectations. 8. Describe your experience implementing a compliance program. I have implemented compliance programs that focused on risk reduction, ethical behavior, and legal adherence. The process began with assessing organizational needs and identifying regulatory requirements. I developed tailored policies, created a code of conduct, and introduced training programs. Regular audits and feedback mechanisms ensured program effectiveness. I also established confidential reporting channels for employees to voice concerns. This holistic approach helped strengthen compliance culture and improved overall regulatory performance across the organization. 9. How do you manage conflicts between compliance and business objectives? Balancing compliance with business goals requires diplomacy and strategic thinking. I start by understanding the business objectives and explaining how compliance supports long-term success. I work collaboratively with management to find practical, risk-aware solutions that align with regulations without hindering productivity. If conflicts persist, I emphasize the potential legal and reputational consequences of noncompliance. By presenting compliance as a business enabler, I help ensure ethical growth and sustainable operations. 10. What tools or software have you used for compliance management? I've used several compliance tools like LogicGate, MetricStream, and Navex Global to streamline compliance processes. These platforms help track incidents, monitor risks, and manage policies efficiently. I also utilize document management systems for audit trails and reporting. Integrating automation reduces manual errors and improves regulatory reporting accuracy. By leveraging technology, I enhance transparency, ensure timely compliance updates, and maintain an organized, data-driven approach to managing complex compliance requirements. 11. How do you prioritize compliance risks? I use a structured risk matrix to evaluate compliance threats based on impact and likelihood. High-impact or high-probability risks are addressed immediately, while lower risks are monitored over time. I also consider financial, reputational, and operational implications during prioritization. Regular reassessment ensures priorities remain relevant as regulations evolve. By focusing resources on the most critical areas, I help the organization mitigate significant threats while maintaining compliance efficiency and operational continuity. 12. What role does training play in compliance management? Training is essential in embedding compliance into organizational culture. It ensures employees understand laws, ethical standards, and internal procedures. I design training programs tailored to specific roles and responsibilities. Regular refresher sessions reinforce key principles and address emerging risks. Interactive methods like workshops and case studies promote engagement and retention. Well-trained employees are less likely to commit violations, making training a proactive measure to strengthen compliance and reduce legal exposure. 13. How do you assess the effectiveness of compliance programs? I use multiple metrics to assess compliance program effectiveness, including audit results, incident frequency, and employee feedback. Key performance indicators, KPIs, such as policy adherence rates and training completion percentages provide valuable insights. I also conduct periodic reviews to identify gaps and areas for improvement. Benchmarking against industry standards ensures the program remains competitive. This data-driven approach helps refine compliance initiatives and ensures continuous alignment with regulatory expectations. 14. Describe a time when you identified a compliance risk before it became an issue. In a previous role, I noticed irregularities in third-party vendor documentation during a routine audit. I investigated and discovered missing certifications that could have led to non-compliance fines. I immediately reported the issue, worked with procurement to suspend vendor activities, and implemented a verification process for future contracts. This preventive action avoided potential penalties and strengthened our vendor compliance procedures, ensuring better oversight and accountability across the organization. 15. How do you ensure compliance in third-party relationships? Third-party compliance is crucial, as external partners can introduce significant risks. I start with thorough due diligence, evaluating vendors' regulatory history and certifications. Contracts include compliance clauses and audit rights to ensure accountability. I also conduct periodic reviews, and require annual compliance attestations. Maintaining transparent communication helps address any potential issues promptly. This structured oversight ensures that third parties align with our ethical standards and regulatory obligations. 16. How do you promote a culture of compliance within an organization? Promoting compliance culture starts with leadership commitment and clear communication. I advocate for tone at the top, where executives lead by example. Regular training, open discussions, and recognition of ethical behavior encourage participation. I also ensure employees feel safe reporting issues without retaliation. By integrating compliance into performance goals in everyday operations, I create a work environment where integrity, transparency, and accountability become natural parts of the company culture. 17. What are the key elements of an effective compliance policy? An effective compliance policy includes clarity, accessibility, and relevance. It must clearly define legal obligations, ethical expectations, and disciplinary consequences. Policies should align with current regulations and be easy for employees to understand. Regular updates, version control, and executive endorsement enhance credibility. Additionally, procedures for monitoring, reporting, and corrective action must be embedded. These elements together create a robust, enforceable policy framework that supports sustainable compliance practices. 18. How do you handle confidential compliance investigations? Confidentiality is critical during investigations to maintain trust and protect all parties involved. I begin by collecting facts objectively and documenting findings thoroughly. Access is restricted to authorized personnel only. I ensure communication remains discreet and professional, avoiding bias or assumptions. After reviewing evidence, I present findings to management with recommendations for corrective actions. Throughout the process, I uphold transparency and fairness while preserving organizational integrity and privacy. 19. How do you handle employee resistance to compliance initiatives? Resistance often stems from misunderstanding or fear of change. I address it through communication and education, explaining the benefits of compliance for both the organization and employees. I encourage open dialogue to understand concerns and clarify misconceptions. Offering real-life examples and involving employees in policy design increases ownership. Positive reinforcement and consistent leadership support further motivate adoption. This inclusive approach turns resistance into collaboration and strengthens compliance commitment. 20. What role does data privacy play in compliance? Data privacy is a cornerstone of compliance, particularly with global regulations like GDPR and CCPA. Protecting personal and sensitive information ensures legal adherence and builds trust with customers. I implement strict access controls, encryption standards, and regular audits to safeguard data. Employees are trained on handling and reporting breaches promptly. Ensuring privacy compliance reduces financial risks, prevents reputational damage, and reflects an organization's commitment to ethical data stewardship. 21. How do you monitor ongoing compliance performance? I use a combination of audits, compliance scorecards, and performance metrics to track adherence. Regular reporting to management and dashboards provide visibility into key compliance indicators. Automated monitoring tools help detect anomalies or policy breaches early. I also schedule quarterly reviews to analyze progress and make necessary improvements. Consistent monitoring not only ensures regulatory alignment, but also fosters accountability and continuous improvement within the compliance framework. 22. How do you ensure global compliance in multinational organizations? Global compliance requires understanding diverse regulatory environments. I collaborate with regional compliance officers to align local laws with corporate standards. Creating a centralized policy framework ensures consistency, while regional adaptations account for jurisdictional differences. Regular cross-border communication, cultural awareness training, and technology tools help manage compliance efficiently. By maintaining global oversight and local flexibility, I ensure seamless adherence to international and domestic regulatory requirements. 23. What are common compliance risks in your industry? Common risks include data breaches, bribery, environmental violations, and inaccurate reporting. Depending on the industry, non-compliance may also involve labor, safety, or financial mismanagement. I proactively identify these risks through audits and risk assessments. Regular training and process monitoring reduce exposure. By maintaining vigilance and promptly addressing emerging risks, I help the organization stay compliant, avoid penalties, and uphold its reputation for ethical and responsible conduct. 24. How do you handle regulatory inspections? During inspections, I prioritize preparedness and transparency. I ensure all documentation, policies, and records are updated and easily accessible. Before inspections, I conduct internal reviews to address potential issues. During the process, I communicate openly with inspectors, providing accurate information promptly. Afterward, I evaluate feedback, implement corrective measures, and document improvements. This approach fosters trust with regulators and demonstrates the organization's commitment to compliance excellence. 25. Why do you want work in compliance? I'm passionate about compliance because it combines ethics, law, and business integrity. I enjoy creating frameworks that prevent risks and promote accountability. Working in compliance allows me to safeguard organizations from reputational and financial harm while supporting ethical growth. I find fulfillment in ensuring fairness, transparency, and responsibility in business operations. My goal is to contribute to a company culture where compliance is valued and practiced daily. Mastering industry compliance requires more than just regulatory knowledge. It demands vigilance, ethical judgment, and continuous learning. These 25 questions and answers are designed to strengthen your interview preparation and boost your confidence. By understanding the principles of compliance and effectively communicating your experience, you can demonstrate your readiness to protect organizational integrity and foster a culture of transparency, responsibility, and long-term regulatory success.